Hey, it's Siobhan at Bow Books. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you've ever been here before. I usually do book reviews. I talk about bookish things. At the moment it's NaNoWriMo, so I'll be talking about NaNoWriMo as well. I'll be talking about other things, like me and my son did an unboxing recently. I didn't do anything with my hair or my makeup. It was a lot of fun though. I think he's already zoomed through all of his airheads. I've still got like most of my crisps. I've been working my way through those habanero crisps and they're taking me forever. Just because like I'll start eating them and they taste really good, and then I'll be like, oh my god, this is burning my mouth. Like, they'll burn my back of my throat a little bit as well at one point, just because I'm a good madam. And then yeah, that kind of triggers some of my coughing, so I have to be really careful with it. So today I am going to be doing another book review. It's another young adult contemporary one, and as ever there are warnings for this one, which I'll go into. So it's things like physical abuse, sexual abuse, sex workers, stuff like that. I never just pick a story that's just nice and gentle, do I? I do have some, I think. I don't know, let's work our way through my bookcase and we'll find out. So this is Rosie Loves Jack by Mel Darbon. It's a really interesting book, I think, and I'm going to be talking about it, but I really don't want it to come across as insensitive when I do talk about this book, because the themology of it, I don't know if I just made up a word, it's maybe a little bit controversial. It's probably best to go with Mel Darbon's backstory a little bit. So she does know someone called Rosie, and the Rosie she knows has the same issues as the Rosie in the book, and part of the reason why she wrote the book was because she was inspired by the Rosie she knows. The Rosie she knows has Down syndrome, and I think there's a little bit of an interview at the back, and I think this quote, I don't know if I've got this on, yeah, it's just the cutest thing ever, and I think it's really sweet. So it's, why is it different? Is it because I have Down syndrome? Down syndrome isn't me, I am Rose. And the Rose she knows is just so determined and so capable, and you know, she does have a setback because she's got an extra chromosome, but you know, that's not really a setback for her. That's just something that she has to overcome people's prejudices about, which is a really interesting topic. So yeah, it's like a 3 or 4 pages of her talking about the Rosie she knows. So the Rosie in the novel also has Down syndrome. I can't pretend I know much about Down syndrome, like beyond, you know, the basics that everyone knows, the 46 chromosomes. No, we all have 46, don't they? They have 47, the extra chromosome. You know, the facial differences that causes, the way people think it affects, like it does affect certain things, like how they frame the things they're thinking and stuff like that. But I can't pretend I know anyone who has it. It's just the way things have worked out. I've come across people like it before, but not really spent a lot of time in depth with them. Like, I think one time a friend of mine, this is like back in junior school, we went on like a like an art kind of course. I think it was that salt dough that they used to like make things, and there was a kid there who had it, and I think that was my first time meeting someone who did have it, and I didn't know what to say, but I can be like that with absolutely everyone, so don't take that personally. So my history aside, Rosie Loves Jack is about Rosie, who is in love with a boy called Jack. Obviously Jack has learning difficulties and behavioural issues, and they both go to college, but I think that like their classes are a little bit separate from like the mainstream college. When I say college, by the way, it's the British college, which is the last 2 years of what we call senior school, what America calls high school. So 16 to 18-year-olds go. Usually if their school doesn't have a sixth form attached, college is the option, or another school's sixth form. College is kind of all encompassing in England as well, because that's where you'll get the adult learning courses. You'll get like things that aren't necessarily, it's a long explanation. If you ever watch Evan Edinger, I think that's how you say his name, he goes into a lot of like the educational differences between American and English schools, and I think his Scottish friend was on there, and he was talking about the differences between you know, Scottish hires and GCSEs and A-levels and stuff like that. When you go to college, you get a different range of vocational courses and things like BTECs and stuff like that. So, you know, if you wanted to go into bricklaying, or I do know someone who's doing bricklaying at college, actually. I think it's bricklaying, or he's doing something in construction at college, and he's like, I think he's got an apprenticeship now, and he left our work recently, which is kind of sad, and we might have broken the rule and hugged. So yeah, they both go to this college. Oh, I've got some cool formatting in this book as well, like postcards and stuff. So they both go to this college, and then right at the start of the novel, Jack has an episode and he gets quite violent, and then he goes running away. And Rosie's the one who's really concerned, but she knows where to find Jack, and she finds him, but someone's followed her and they've separated them, and her parents are like, this is good because Jack is too violent and we worry about you with him. But Rosie is so determined. She knows her own mind, she knows Jack, she knows what she wants, and she knows how she's going to go and get it. So she hears that Jack is gone, she hears through the grapevine where he's gone, and when she learns all this, she decides, you know what, I'm not going to be separated. I think she comes across some paperwork in her parents' study, and it's all like, this is a good thing for Rosie and a good thing for Jack to be separated. And she's like, well, I don't think so. I think I need to be with Jack because I love Jack. And what ensues after that is really interesting. It's in December that it happens, so it's very cold. She goes travelling to London. I think they're from somewhere in the Midlands. Like, if you don't know England very well, this is going to be confusing, but they're somewhere in the Midlands, that and he ends up somewhere on the south coast, but she travels to London. I think it's been a while since I've read it, so I might get the geography a little bit wrong, but so she goes to London first of all to try and find another route to go and see him, and then the weather is so bad that she gets snowed into London, and you know, she has all these obstacles to overcome just to get to London in the first place. And then all of a sudden, you know, she can't get home, she can't go to Jack, she has to think on her feet, which I think for any 17-year-old would be so difficult. I think 17 actually was the sort of time when I started to spend more time in London, so you know, I think I've related to it really well in that aspect. So she ends up in a hostel because someone recommended she go to a hostel when they saw her standing there with her suitcase. She goes to the hostel, she gets kind of manipulated by some of the girls who were also staying there. Someone steals her stuff. She goes wandering around trying to find another place she can be. She's got a lot of sensory overloads as well, so she can only really afford to stay in one of the rooms where a lot of people are staying, but that's really intense for her. So someone really kindly says, you know what, you can stay in an independent room for the same price. I won't tell anyone because obviously, you know, you need it and you've got like a medical reason for it, which I thought was really sweet. But then one of these girls at the hostel, they start really manipulating her. They take her to this guy who's like, he's kind of running a seedy brothel, but she feels like she's got nowhere else to go, and this girl is offering her help, and she doesn't realise that this girl is not who she says she is, and she's not doing what she says she is. And she kind of starts getting groomed for this hostel, and she keeps saying, no, I need to go and find Jack. And like a lot of bad things happen. She gets burnt when she's hiding from someone where she shouldn't be. And then I think her name comes up in the news, her face comes up in the news, and they realise like they've taken someone who has a lot of people looking for them. They panic, they leave her out in the cold. So she basically ends up homeless like a couple of days into the novel. It's like, this is hard enough for anybody, but then to have something where, you know, your understanding of the way society is a little bit limited is even more difficult. And the fact that she overcomes it, and she doesn't just overcome it, she is so positive and so driven, and like, I think that's why I really resonated with this, like just seeing someone overcome the obstacles. And I'm not trying to be ableist here, like I have my own health issues, and I feel like I do this sort of thing every day as well. Like sometimes it's just hard enough getting out of bed when I'm feeling tired, and I have to because I'm a mum, and you know, that was relatable. So I think, you know, it's not saying like if you're in a wheelchair just get up and do stuff you should be doing, la 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 la. But it is saying, you know, when you have that kind of personality, when you have that drive, when you have that goal, it's easier to like take on the world and just be anything that comes up. I think it's really sweet at the end as well, because she does manage to start moving towards Jack, and she gets in a taxi and the taxi driver recognises her, and she's in the same town as Jack by now, and she runs out, I think. Yeah, it's like, please, please, please take me to Jack. No, 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 no. So like obviously she's panicked, and I think she jumps out, and then someone in a tractor finds her, and he's like, oh, we're like 2 fields over, let's go, let's take you to Jack. And then she gets to reunite with him, and everyone realizes, you know, maybe it wasn't the best thing to say, we're just going to cut you off, and they find another way. I think Jack stays where he is because it is the best place for him, whereas the best place for Rosie is back with her parents, but they do start doing visits and communicating, like letter writing and stuff like that. So it's really sweet. And I think, sorry, I just saw something and I was like, oh, that's a thing to talk about, and I've forgotten what it was. Oh yeah, no, because of that whole no. So like the way it's written as well, you do get into the mindset of what Rosie's like. So it's not, the flow of the language isn't, you know, high prose in sort of like, you know, it wouldn't win prizes for being the most eloquent thing, but also the way things are explained gives you an insight into what it's like to live with Down syndrome. And maybe it's me, like I said, I don't have enough experience. Maybe for me, this is like dipping a toe into the water and having some indication of what it's like. But I also think because she's got the experience of knowing an actual Rosie, it's a little bit more on the nose, I'd like to believe. So I thought that was really good. Like she really worked hard, and I think she said like the Rosie she knows was really happy and excited to be in a book. But I think like the real Rosie knows, you know, it's not, like Mel doesn't think she should be in those situations, but she knows if she was, she would get out, she would, yeah. So yeah, I really like that. I think I've covered all of it actually. So yeah, this is such a good book. A little bit intense again, lots of issues covered, but overall I think even like anyone could relate to, you know, trying to overcome adversity, being the underdog, having your limitations, but you know, surviving despite that. And yeah, I really love this book. Like I think it got recommended to me at Yalk as well. When I picked it up, they were like, oh my god, that's so good. But you know, you hear that a lot at Yalk, but no, I totally agree. Like it's definitely the kind of contemporary book I would read and love, and clearly I did. So I think I'm going to leave it here. Thank you for watching. If you got this far, I'd really appreciate any likes or comments and subscriptions, but you know, no pressure. And I guess I'll see you next time. Bye.